So I just got done watching Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire. And let me just say, this was a very fun movie. From what my one of my top five, actually, I think there only it's only been like six Godzilla movies from from Legendary. But no, actually, I would say this is probably my top three. Monsterverse movies. Number one was Godzilla and Kong. Number two was Kong Skull Island, and number three, I would say it's Godzilla and Kong the New Empire. But the one thing, I mean, it was wacky fun. There was some wackiness in this game. I mean, not game. There was some wackiness in this movie that I got a chuckle out of it. Kong was pretty much the main person that the directors and the writers was focusing on in this movie. So yes, this movie was more about Kong trying to find his people than it was about Godzilla, or how Godzilla needs to unite with Kong in order to fight the biggest threat that they have faced, which was Scar King, and yes, which was Shimo. And the one thing about this movie that I'm seeing from critics is how they're trying to compare it with Godzilla -1, which I've also seen, but didn't really get into it that much because yeah, it took a more serious role with Godzilla, but the way Godzilla was, I just didn't like how they basically made Godzilla into this indestructible evolutionary creature that couldn't be killed even if you hit it with 5, 6, 7 nuclear bombs. The Godzilla minus, he would just constantly come back, even though his head, tail, body was blew off. Evolution was on his side, so he couldn't be killed. But with Godzilla and Kong the New Empire, it's the movie that I was interested in seeing for the past 3 years. Me watching other shows, probably Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Quantumania, I watched it, was very disappointed. This movie, Godzilla and Kong, was a breath of fresh air for me watching it in the movie theaters. So, the main plot of this movie was about Kong trying to find his place or whatnot. Yeah, find his home base in Hollow Earth, which he did find at one point, but then he ended up finding another path, of which he ended up meeting the little red monkey, which is probably going to be the next Monsterverse movie, the Son of Kong, because that's how I'm depicting it right now. It's going to be the Son of Kong in the next movie. And when he ended up meeting him, from what you saw in the previews, you did end up seeing Kong did eventually meet up with Scar King, which Scar King was apparently a huge warmonger that wanted to take full control of Hollow Earth and the planet and the service planet, which was Earth. He wanted to take full control of all of it. He had a huge beef with the Godzilla race. He was pissed off. He was basically using his own race as slaves to try to get to the service area and get out of Hollow Earth. That's basically what the whole plot was. They did a whole, we're trying to humanize Kong and give like this huge backstory, or make a whole future for how we could progress with the Monsterverse movies. And the way they did that was with Kong. Like I said, the next movie that I feel like they should make, or they probably are going to make, is a Son of Kong, because Kong did help out the race of monkeys that he thought was extinct. He did end up eventually finding them. Yeah, I'm sorry. Spoilers ahead. He did end up eventually finding the apes that he thought was long gone. And the fact that they was using Kong to try to move forward with the Monsterverse movies, because they did all they could with Godzilla, or at this point I'm not really sure like how they're gonna continue to use Godzilla, because most of the lore that I've seen from Godzilla and Kong and Godzilla versus Kong and Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire, they was using they were using Kong to try to move on with the multiverse movie, not multiverse, Monsterverse movies, so they can try to keep on writing what they can with these movies, which I appreciate. They are literally showing more love for Kong and trying to use Kong to push out more movies, which is smart, because there's so much lore that they could be using with Kong because we already know about Godzilla and all that stuff, and about the enemies that we fought. Especially since some of us have seen the Showa movies from the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. We all know like what Godzilla's capable of. My main issue with Godzilla and Kong the New Empire is the critics, right? Because you got these critics that will leave reviews right here. So you got a lot of people that has like some disdain for this movie, which again we're gonna see why. Being in Hollow Earth from Jack Coyle from the Associated Press, boo. Being in Hollow Earth takes some of the fun out of things. That also leaves Godzilla and Kong residing in a purely CGI arena without even tenuous connections to reality. It's an empty chamber for movie spectacle and nothing else. How did you get that out of this movie when Hollow Earth is literally a huge new world that could be explored? They are literally just using Kong to try to explore that lore, in which they did. Because, again, spoilers ahead, they end up finding Mothra in this movie. And yes, Kong has finally met Mothra. That right there is an achievement in itself. Out of all the movies that I've seen, from the old school Godzilla movies, to the new school Godzilla movies, to the old school King Kong movies, to the new King Kong movies, Kong has never met Mothra. When Mothra finally showed up and met Kong, I was like, finally, those two have finally met on the big screen. Apparently, this CGI movie, we all knew it was gonna be CGI, you freaking idiot, because it's a monster movie. It's a monster-verse movie. Godzilla and Kong monster-verse movie. You obviously was missing the picture. They was using Kong to progress with the story, and even when Kong and Godzilla had no dialogue whatsoever, you could still see what they were saying if you was actually paying attention. The underwhelming effects give you the new appreciation of what Godzilla Minus One did at a fraction of the cost. Why did you have to bring up Godzilla Minus One? Again, I watched that movie, and I was disappointed in the movie. It was dark as hell, yeah. They brought forth, I think it was World War II, with the Hiroshima bombs. It was dark as hell, but I would prefer Godzilla and Kong the New Empire over Godzilla Minus One. Again, the fact that they're trying to compare this to Godzilla Minus One just goes to show like they're not anybody to be taken seriously. That was from Digital Trends. The live action motion capture performances are mostly marvelous, despite the bum dialogue and Wingard's tendency to rush through sequences and hold relationships that might have been extraordinary had they been presented with patience and elegance. When you multiply Godzilla by Kong, what do you get? What the hell are you talking about? When Wingard's doing the math, it's an earnest, wacky, and hectic ride that often feels being thrashed out in the IMAX seat. So we just gonna forget all the wacky stuff from the Showa pictures? Because those movies are well beloved and it was as wacky as hell. The problem with Godzilla and Kong the New Empire, it's the same as so many of these franchise-based films. They're all soulless special effects extravaganzas where CGI takes the place of character development, good writing, and emotional connection. You literally felt a connection in Godzilla and Kong. And that was mainly CGI as well. What the hell is this guy talking about? I don't get it. Even the title Godzilla and Kong the New Empire sounds like words awkwardly lumped together as if designed only to satisfy best practices in search engine optimization. Like, are we supposed to say the X? Can you say the same thing with Street Fighter X Tekken or Street Fighter times Tekken? I guess if they're sold by solid CGI chaos, really not really. At the end, I was left feeling the way Kong does at the beginning, tired and bored. From the Wall Street Journal. That's hilarious. Godzilla the New Empire. Godzilla and Kong the New Empire is a mouthful of a title and one that's surprisingly hard to parse out on its own, especially as it suggests more of a brand collab between those famed cinematic monsters than anything else. Why would they not? The movie is about Godzilla and King Kong. Why would they not? Again, the critics, the freaking critics are let this freaking movie at a 57. At a freaking 57. And they are mad that the movie is mainly CGI. I'm sorry, a 54. And look at the audience score. 500 verified ratings, 500 plus, 150 for the critics. You see that the fans love this movie, but the critics are just being picky about the freaking movie. Yeah, was there some CGI that could have been fixed? Yes, especially pertaining to Godzilla. But it's quite obvious that the CGI was mainly focused on Kong, because that's what the movie was mainly focused on. Kong and him getting into it with Scar King. Yes, the Godzilla CGI could have been better. But with a budget of $135 million, literally the least amount of the budget from the multiverse from what I've seen, they still put on a pretty great and fun performance. I don't care if it was wacky or not. I don't care if some people say like, oh, there's too much CGI, there's not enough human interaction, all that stuff. The movie is mainly about Kong. It's mainly about Kong and his race of apes that he finally found when he thought in Godzilla versus Kong, he lost everybody and he was the only one by himself. So, again, these are the same critics that tried to make the claim that, oh, Velma was not that bad. It's just the white people that thought Velma was freaking hated. Me, I watched 4 episodes of Velma, and I literally was about to drink bleach. I was not gonna watch one more episode of that shitty ass show. Or how about these probably the same critics that's taking an aim at video gamers for not wanting ESG in their video games because the ESG ruins the writing. These are the same critics that praise those kind of practices. But they want to hate on Godzilla and Kong, the new empire. Like I said, the movie was fun. Screw the critics. I don't know what the hell they're going on about. I really do recommend that you guys watch the movie like I did. But if you guys saw the movie, man, let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. If you guys like the video, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, hit the notification bell. I'll see y'all next one. Peace.